What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian.
I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you.
Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues.
BlueNote Fan Report. Aloha. This is an impromptu show. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything. I'm going to find out if Justin's been following the World Cup at all. I've been following it, not religiously, but I've been paying attention to it. Mexico has a chance to become the first team to advance later tonight. It's an interesting thing the way they're doing it. We're going to talk about the Blues and trade rumors. Justin kind of brought some of this stuff up to me. I'm not on board with like 90% of them. I think that Blues fans, you sent me a message, and I'm not going to say what you said, but we fight a lot when it comes to some of this stuff. But I agree with you on this one. I really do, man. And I'm interested in what we've got to say and what our viewers might have to say on these.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't followed the World Cup really at all. I was thinking about doing something, maybe possibly following it a little bit more closely, but again, I haven't here recently, but it's good that you have a little bit of knowledge, because I'm sure a lot of people have been watching it. I think it's been getting a lot of viewership. They actually had for like the ratings or whatever, for like everybody that like was crapping on the Stanley Cup final, that averaged like 2.2 million average viewers. So for a Stanley Cup that everybody said, oh, well, no one has any interest in it, they got quite a bit of viewership for that one.
I think it was the best viewed Stanley Cup in like a long time.
I think it was as well. Yeah.
It was. I'm sorry. I thought it was an extremely exciting Stanley Cup. I thought it would go 7. I thought Vegas would do a little bit better at home in that last game, but they also had a couple injuries there that might have affected it. And while the neutral zone trap may be quote unquote illegal in the NHL, that style of defense that the Carolina Hurricanes played in that game 6, I mean, they wouldn't let them do anything, man. And you got to give Brendan Moore props for that. He really got out there and did the things that needed to be done. And it was an amazing. I think it was, of the possibilities, when you got down to the 4 possible Stanley Cups, I think this would have been the best one, hands down. And it was.
Yeah, I think that this, I know we talked about it on the show, and I said it even too. I know that you viewed the first Edmonton Florida series in high regard, but for me, it didn't excite me like this one excited me. The two teams really brought it. I can't really put what I saw in the Edmonton and Florida series over what I saw in this series, because Edmonton got destroyed in the first 3 games and then decided to wake up and play hockey. They made it close. Yes, it was a game 7 and it was, 2-1 final, but still I got to take, to how each team played, and each team played hard down to the wire.
Yeah, I agree. It was very, very well done. The draft is next week. And I talked to you about this, so I guess I can announce this. We will do a live show for day one. Probably will not do day two, but we'll do day one. I know the Blues have a lot of picks, but when it gets into day two, a lot of those guys, like if you go by the magazine, a lot of those guys aren't in the magazines, right? So it's hard to really come up with something unless you're unless you're like Mike, an absolute, I think that's right, the name of the guy, or Mike, right? Mike Meyer?
Yeah, Mike Meyer. Yeah, he does a lot of that. But even that, you leave anything past the first round, you leave to the organization scouting team. I mean, those guys know what they're getting with guys that they've seen. For the players outside of the first round.
I'm going to ask you this. We're going to just start right off with this because I know what my thought process is, but I want to know yours. Do you want to trade? Do you want the Blues to try and trade up into the top 5? And if you do, who do you want to get?
See, now everybody's like, we've heard this forever. Like everybody's been wanting, like everybody's so desperate to get that second overall pick. I'm sorry, Blues fans. I hate to break it to you. You're not getting the second overall pick. You're not getting Ivar Stenberg. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have to just understand. You're going to have to accept it. For me, I don't think the Blues need to move up. I think the Blues could make the pick. I think they could make the pick. They could get rid of the pick to bring in another asset. I don't think that they need to move up in this draft. I think that there is guys that they can get it at 11 and 15 that would be well worth it. I don't think anybody in this draft, and I know a friend of the show, Lance, talked about this too, about a guy like Gavin McKenna. There's no one in this draft, I think, that is generational. Obviously, they could become generational and become fantastic, but as of the scouting reports, you're not getting a Nathan McKinnon. You're not getting a Connor McDavid in this draft. You're getting, a deep draft, but you're not getting that caliber of player, knowingly.
How many? I think in the top 10, maybe one guy plays this year. And that guy would probably be Stenberg because I think McKenna's already said he's going back to school. At least that's his plan, right? Mm-hmm. Stenberg may be the guy that you think you can bring up because of his brother, and there's some knowledge and understanding. I have a 78, Wendy. I have a 70. God, I hope not. I think that would ruin him. I don't think Stenberg. He says I have a 78% feeling Stenberg will be a Blackhawk. The Blackhawks are what? 4, right, or 3?
I thought they were picked. I think they're 3rd. I think they're it's Vancouver's 3rd because they got. I think they went all the way down. I think. Yeah, so I think Chicago's 4th. I think Stenberg, McKenna's going to Toronto. I have no doubt in my mind. I think McKenna's going to go to Toronto. And then Stenberg's a toss-up because San Jose could go that direction, but with the news of Michael Kesselring with the trade over to San Jose being a thing, for me, I know a lot of people are high on Kesselring. I don't think he's a bad defenseman, but I think a lot of people are putting a lot of stock into Kesselring more than what I think he deserves, if I'm honest. I don't think Kesselring is going to be the end-all, be-all over there in San Jose, but he's a good piece over there. So the San Jose Sharks could realistically, they could draft a defenseman or they could get Stenberg. So I think either way, you're seeing Stenberg probably go in the top 3. I don't think he gets to number 4 though.
Okay. Wendy's asking if we want him to join the stream with us. I'm going to say this, Wendy. I got no problem when you join in the stream with us, but we really want to stick more to draft and Blues trade rumors. I'll be honest with you, bud. I'm not that interested in Chicago right now. If you want to join us, you're welcome. Just know that that's the direction I'm going to go. Are you okay with that there, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind you joining us and seeing what's up. I reached out to. I don't know if I'll hear something back. I asked Lance if he wanted to join. So I don't. If he wants to join, then I'm obviously gonna. I want him to join if Lance does decide that he tunes in or whatever and wants to come on.
Yeah.
So I do have. I asked Lance. He hasn't got back to me yet, but I know that I wanted to get him on to do the player grades, but just never was in the cards. He wasn't feeling very well, so I'm trying to get him on. When he's doing okay. So
Yeah. No. Well, Lance and Ashley basically have I'd say at 99% they could come on anytime they want. I'm probably not going to kick them off the show if they come on. Or would want to come on. But again, sometimes we got to make sure that everybody's kind of going where we are, right? And that's all I ask. I know Wendy's a big Blackhawks fan. I just, sometimes Wendy's over the top and we're over the top, and I get that. And I kind of not in the mood to handle over the top today.
yeah, I like we said, we're talking about the draft. I don't mind talking about, the Chicago Blackhawks are in the draft. They got a valuable pick that they're going to be picking at fourth. So they're going to be a talking point for me, though. Like we could talk about when if Wendy's going to come on or whatnot. I just don't think Stenberg is gonna make it to number 4. I don't see that happening. Stenberg is a.
If I'm San Jose, I think this is the best direction for San Jose. They may not need a forward. They may want a defenseman.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm thinking defenseman would be the way to go for San Jose, but with the pick of them going with Matt Kessel or with Kesselring who is a defenseman, he didn't really get to play because he was injured. They could go in the direction of a defenseman and not take a forward. But the thing is wouldn't you want a guy to play with Celebrini?
You jumped on it so fast, you never let me finish. And because of that, you completely you need to let me finish this one. I think the best move for them is to take Stenberg at second and then trade him for the defenseman you want and get something else to go with it. You're going to get more for him than you are for the pick itself. Does that make sense? The number 2 pick in and of itself has meaning, but Stenberg, the player, has more value than the pick itself. And I think if you take him and then work a draft day trade or a trade after the draft, you're going to get that player you want because there's so many people that covered Stenberg. You're going to get that high-end prospect or even another guy later in the draft. If there's a guy you covet, but you know he's going to go 6, 7, or 8, take Stenberg. Once he goes, call that team and say, hey, want to work a deal? And you'll get more value for it. I wish more teams would do that. I wish more teams would take that guy and then turn around and say, he doesn't fit, but let's get the guy that does fit. Let's use this guy to get the guy we really wanted. Richard, my buddy Richard, and yes, Wendy, you can come join us, my friend. Hopefully I didn't upset him. Richard says, where do the Blues trade Kyrou to? I know what my answer is. My answer is nowhere.
Again, we're gonna talk about this because this has been a heavy focus. I've seen a lot on Jordan Kyrou. I've seen a lot on Colton Parayko. I've just now recently seen Dalibor Dvorsky be a talking point. Now, the thing is I think the Blues fans are viewing this wrong. Everybody is so desperate to trade Jordan Kyrou, which, mind you, he is a proven 70-point guy, and people are desperate enough to take these picks that you have in the draft, say the 11th overall pick, the 15th overall pick, and you want to package these picks up with Jordan Kyrou as a peace offering. Like, here, we really just don't want Jordan Kyrou. He's a 70-point guy, but screw him. We don't want him. So we're gonna give you our picks and Jordan Kyrou because we don't want him that bad. That's not the way Blues fans should be focusing their mindset here. The way that the Blues should be focusing, and I've been on the topic about possibly getting rid of Jordan Kyrou, but my thing has never been about trading a 1-for-1 or not getting the value. You need the value back. What you're losing in Jordan Kyrou and a 70-point guy, you need the same thing back in return. You can't undervalue.
Blues fans, and sorry, Wendy, I'm going to piss you off. Blues fans just need to shut the fuck up because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And I'm being damn honest. Because they want to trade a guy because they sit there and think he's lazy and he makes all these mistakes. You're looking for him to make the mistake, and then when you see it, you jump on it, and you don't see the other things he does, right? Now when you think that Steinberg could go to the Blackhawks at 4?
Yeah, I do believe Steinberg goes to 4.
Now, see, I don't know. You were coming on. You might not have heard me say this. Here's what I think. I think that what San Jose should do. I think that's. Hold on. I'm just kind of my brain farted for a second. I think, and I wish more teams would do this. At number 2, the pick itself has value, but the player, Steinberg, might have more value than the pick itself. So take Steinberg at 2, find out what defenseman you want, where he goes, call that team and say, hey, want to do a deal? And you're going to get, I think you'll get more for it. I think you'll get more.
I think you will.
I do. Because I think the player itself, I think Steinberg itself is more valuable than the pick itself, because everybody wants that pick because they want Steinberg. Okay, well, once you got Steinberg, use Steinberg to get more, not just the pick. Because you know what? Steinberg could go number 1. Toronto could bulk. Until you get to that moment, you don't know. And I think if you really want a defenseman, and I think most defensemen aren't going until 7 or 8, right?
No,
there's a defenseman out there. My thing is the defensemen actually, I think, are pretty heavy in this draft, if I'm not mistaken here. So my thing is there's too much to go on here. If San Jose is going to take Steinberg, they're going to stick with Steinberg. If they want a defenseman, they're going to draft a defenseman. There's no reason to convolute everything, take Steinberg and try to get it, because you don't know if that team's going to play hardball with you and give you a defenseman that you want. If you're realistically wanting to get Steinberg and then you take Steinberg and try to package him up for a defenseman that you want, doesn't mean the team is going to want to give you that defenseman.
I just disagree with that. I think that I think the player, this is one of them rare cases where the player himself might have more value than the pick itself, right? And this is one thing. So I don't know, and I've posted the chart in my group a couple of times. There is, and yes, I know it was in the NFL, but it still works. Back in the 90s, Jimmy Johnson developed this draft value chart where they went and looked at all the draft picks. They went back and they update. This chart's been updated and updated and updated, and they put a numerical value for each pick based on what quality that pick could be in the league. And if you take that pick and look at where number 2 is, the 11th and the 12th, or the 11th and the 15th that the Blues have, actually don't equal that pick. There's still some points behind. Well, the points that are behind are a high second-round pick. For everyone that wants to package Kyrou, you're basically saying Kyrou is only worth a high second-round pick. If Doug Armstrong or Steen traded Kyrou for a high second-round pick, and that's all you traded him for, Blues fans would lose their effing minds. Absolutely lose them. But in essence, that's what you're telling them to do.
You jumped around because you were talking about the pick, but then you were talking about Kyrus. So
the value of what I'm getting at overall is the value of the pick. I think the pick itself has value, but the player that you could get at that pick has more value than the pick itself. I think that,
like I said, yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine to have that logic. But what I'm saying is it makes it convoluted. Yes, Stenberg is a valued player, but if you're saying get Stenberg and give him and say, so your logic is you want this San Jose team to, if they go out there and pick Stenberg, before first of all, they would have to have this in motion before this even happens. You'd have to have the GM go to the said team that they want from the defenseman that you're talking about, whoever that defenseman may be. It would be a higher echelon defenseman. So you'd have to go and put the wheels in motion for that. You say, okay, hey, I'm going to pick Stenberg, but let's work out a deal after the draft. Let's work out a deal where I give you Stenberg and I want this defenseman. I just think it makes it way too convoluted, and I don't think you're setting yourself up for success. I think that you got to look at the future, although you are trying to do that. The defenseman that you want doesn't mean that defenseman is going to be available. It doesn't mean that team's going to be like, okay, I'll give you, let's just say, Zach Werenski for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Say you want Zach Werenski. Just example. I'll give you Stenberg for Zach Werenski, and obviously you'd have to sweeten up the deal. That doesn't mean they're going to give that to you. That's not what that means. I just feel like you're making it convoluted. I think San Jose needs to pick what they think they need in their system, and that's the guy that they're going to stick with. I think that your logic is fine, but I think it's too convoluted.
I see what you're saying, but also I look back at history, and it hasn't happened that often. Well, actually, I think of the biggest draft day trade, the one where the team took the player knowing the player wasn't going to play there. You know what I'm talking about? I know Wendy knows what I'm talking about.
You're talking about Lindros to Quebec, but the trade took a year later to make a deal. You aren't going to see that. Here's the thing. San Jose is in a position where if they do trade the pick, they're going to only trade down 1 or 2 spots. They aren't going to trade down like 10 spots. If they don't trade the pick, they have the pick from Ivar Stenberg, Caleb Malhotra, Chase Reed, and Carson Carrolls. Where they need is defense. Chase Reed is the number 1 defenseman in this draft, who's projected to be a number 1 defenseman in the National Hockey League. Carson Carroll is projecting around to be a number 2, but a very close number 1 defenseman in the NHL. They also if they do go the route of taking Stenberg, it's the fact that they think they don't need defense, even though they do. They are going to lose 4 defensemen in a week to free agency. Kesselring is not a number 1, 2, 3, or 4 defenseman. He's a number 5 or a number 6 defenseman.
Absolutely, which is what I talked about. Yeah, so before you joined.
San Jose would be smart to maybe go the route of drafting Chase Reed, who, yes, will play a season in the NCAA, but he will likely come into the NHL at the end of a freshman season in the NCAA. If they take Stenberg, he's coming into the NHL immediately because, in my opinion, he's the most NHL-ready prospect in this draft.
Hasn't McKenna said he's going back?
No, he's going straight to the NHL.
He's going to go. Yeah, he's going to go to the NHL. And like I said, for me, I don't see it happening. I think Toronto's easily going to take McKenna. I don't see them going anywhere else.
And there's rumors they already talked to him saying they're taking him at the combine.
Oh, I think, like I said, we're not going to get into the whole nitty and gritty of the draft because we talked about that a lot on this show. I just don't have any doubt in my mind that they're going to take McKenna. I just, there's no way. The question is that's a good one. Are they going to go defense or are they going to go Stenberg with San Jose? And I do think that you're not going to, I guess, miss either way. But I think, yeah, if you're San Jose, you probably want to shore up your defense, obviously. But obviously, I think they want somebody to play with McKenna or not McKenna, Celebrini. So I think that they could take Stenberg.
Yeah, I just see. I guess I'm weird. I guess I'm out there. I don't know. I think that if sometime best available is better is more important than need, right?
I will say this year's draft is not like the last few years. All the top 5 prospects in this draft pretty much equal out to be about the same type of player. Granted, yes, you're taking defense versus forwards in the top 5. It's more so the fact they kind of even out in the same tier level. It's almost kind of setting up to be like the 2022 draft where you had some question marks who's going where and what spot in that draft. That's what we're looking at in this year's draft. It's not like the drafts of when Hawks got Bedard, when Sharks got Celebrini, last year with Schaefer going to the Islanders. This year's draft is a little bit more combined, where you're taking a top tier player, but it's not like you basically are in a position where, okay, best player available could be what you think it is, or it could be what the draft analysts are thinking. But that's how it is this year.
I think you're getting a solid player. It definitely in the top 5. I think you're getting a solid player no matter what you're taking. Obviously, depends on what you're going to be taking. But I think, like I said, from everything I've heard, I think that this draft is a lot deeper than it has been the last couple of years. So I think you're getting a decent player. Obviously, I think 2 of the guys. I know Belchez for the Blues has been heavily talked about by a lot of people that the Blues should go after him for the 11th pick. Big size guy. I think that this draft is going to be deep, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where everybody falls because I don't think it's a set thing. I think the only thing that's set for me is McKenna going to Toronto. That's the only thing that's set for me.
And I'm also at that point where I'm saying Malhotra to Vancouver is almost set at this point. It sounds like they aren't considering either Stenberg or one of the defensemen.
Yeah. Malhotra to the Canucks would be probably ideal for them. But yeah, I mean, if that happens, then yeah, I mean, Stenberg could most definitely be at that 4 spot. I guess I should have rephrased it and said that there was no way he's going number 4 because McKenna's already gone, I think, at 1. If San Jose goes with the defenseman, and then if Vancouver's going to pass on Stenberg, then yeah, he probably will go for it, and then Chicago probably will take Stenberg.
And that's why I'm like at that 78% feeling of Stenberg's going to be a Blackhawk next week.
If I'm Vancouver, I don't pass, and San Jose passes on Vancouver, I don't pass on Stenberg.
Here's the thing with Vancouver and their rebuild situation. This is the very beginning of a rebuild. You usually don't want to start your rebuild with drafting a winger. You want to either draft a defenseman or a centerman for your first pick in the rebuild. And
Yeah.
that's why it sounds like Malhotra might be the pick.
Well, and Malholtra's a center, right?
Yeah, he's a centerman, and
So
also
okay,
there's a little bit more to it. His dad's now the head coach of the team, but
Who
I
yeah,
still don't.
who are you saying you think would be
Malholtra.
Caleb Malhotra to
Yeah,
Vancouver is my projection.
if Vancouver takes him at 3,
Mhm.
Vancouver fans will go absolutely ballistic. You're
It's still-
talking about so this is probably more than likely the 12th rated player, between 10 and 12th rated player. You're taking at 3. That's
He's
a
not
reach.
a 12th rated player. He's actually moved up a lot in the
He's
last.
6th. He's 6th on North American skaters. That means he could be 12th. The other 6 European skaters could be all higher than him. You got to remember this. They separate, and I'm looking at the NHL page, the NHL scouting ranking. They separate North American and European skaters, and they also take the goalies out. Now, normally goalies, maybe one shots in the top 10, but that's rare.
Yeah, there's not a goalie projected to go
Well,
until mid
I'll
second
see.
round.
So I'm looking at the North American skaters. These are how they're ranked right now, right? And actually, Caleb's dropped. He hasn't gone up. He's dropped. So they have the final rank and the midterm rank. McKenna, Chase Reed, Carson Girls, Keaton Viroff, Jackson Rudolph, Caleb Malhotra. That's 6. And he was 5th at the midterm ranking. So he actually dropped. Then you go to the international skaters, and you have Stenberg, Albert Smith, Oliver Savento, and Vigo Bjork. I probably killed that.
Vigo Bjork.
Okay, I was close. Ilton Hertzman, right? Close. And then Philipparian, right? And I probably killed that. There's 2 other centers right now that I think are ranked higher than the guy you're calling for. Oliver Savento and Vigo Bjork, both centers, are ranked 3rd and 4th. And they basically, Bork went up from 5th to 4th from the midterm rankings. So, given that, if they go after Caleb at number 3, when he's possibly between 10 and 12, that's a reach, and that's a mistake.
Well, let me put it this way. First of all, Wendy isn't calling for anything. He's just saying that he thinks it's going to be like. I can understand that because he did talk about the ties with. What'd you say? His dad is the coach now.
Yeah, Manny Malhotra is who his dad is now the head coach.
So his dad's the coach. So there is a tie there. It's obviously it is a reach, but let's be honest. Vancouver's been swimming in a sea of mediocrity, and as we'll talk about with the trades later, this is interesting. It wouldn't be that far-fetched of them to take a center because there is talks about Elias Pettersson getting moved.
Right.
So this wouldn't. I mean, obviously there may be better centers in the depth chart there, and that's fine. But with the ties like Wendy talked about, with dad being the coach and everything like that, there is a strong possibility that he could go at number 3 to Vancouver, and they start that rebuild. Obviously, like I talked about, I'm not a huge Vancouver fan. I have no freaking idea what they're doing over there. I think they've been swimming in a sea of mediocrity for so long now. But again, like I talked about, they're talking about Elias Pettersson being shipped, and the Blues are possibly a destination that people were talking about. So, we'll talk about that when we get into the trading stuff. But that's just another wrinkle into this as well.
For me, first of all, one of the things that I say, and we've seen this in the NHL a lot. Sometimes nepotism or despotism or whatever you want to call it, putting family first doesn't work. In fact, a lot of times it doesn't work. And the fact that his father's the coach, that could be right there a reason they don't take him. That could absolutely be a reason they don't take him. I'll tell you what, if I was a professional player, I would not want to play for my dad, the coach, because I'm going to have zero. I'm going to lose respect with the team. They're going to think I'm getting special preference. It's going to be harder. It's almost like playing in your hometown. The expectations are going to be astronomical. They're already high if you're a third overall pick, but playing for your dad, oh my goodness, the expectations are astronomical. I wouldn't want that.
I will also have to add to this. The average head coach's lifespan as employed by the team is 2.5 years. Caleb Malhotra is going to the college hockey this coming season. He's already committed to play, I believe, for BU. And who knows if Manny Malhotra will still be the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks when Caleb is ready to turn pro.
Possible.
We'll put it this way: with Malhotra, he's not going to come into the NHL immediately, like Wendy was saying, and like with that coach thing. My thing is Malhotra's not there to be the coach for Vancouver when Vancouver's competitive. Vancouver's got a long way to go before they're anywhere near contenders again. I mean, Vancouver. Yeah, I mean, they are. Vancouver is at the early stages of a rebuild. This team is so far away from competing; it's not even close. They need so many more pieces for that team to be good again. It's not even funny. So, Malhotra's not going to be there when the Canucks are competitive again.
And
he's in their lose now window.
Yeah, so Vancouver's basically in the position where the Blackhawks were when the Hawks drafted Connor Bedard by the very beginning of a rebuild. That's where the Vancouver Canucks are.
I try and look at Chicago with the neutral bone, and it's hard. I almost feel like you could say Chicago has failed in their rebuild so far.
I don't. I'm a homer, but I don't think they failed in their rebuild.
They've gone backwards.
They haven't gone backwards.
They couldn't go backwards because they're as far at the bottom as they've always been at the bottom.
Here's the thing. Do you know where the Blackhawks were ranked before Connor Bedard's injury and Nazar's injury midway through the season?
They were in a playoff spot.
Yes. If those injuries did not happen, I'm saying it right now, the Hawks would have been in the same position as the San Jose Sharks going into the final week of the regular season.
So they took up challenging for a playoff spot.
Yeah, they were. They were a playoff team when those two players went down for over a month and a half, and then they fell off because the players had to just get back into the swing of things and get back and healthy. It's harder to come back when you lose your two best players midway through the season for over a month and a half of a season, and that's where the Hawks were at. I do believe the Hawks will be competing like the Sharks were this coming season.
Chicago made a step. They definitely made a step. Obviously, I didn't expect them to make the playoffs. I don't think anybody did, but they did. They are making steps in the right direction. They still need to add more pieces. Yes, they are. They're obviously going through that rebuilding process. They've got a bunch of good players, coming through the system. I'm a big Nazar guy. Nazar's going to be very good for the Hawks. Reichel, obviously.
Well, that was a Bowman pick, and luckily,
given that situation, but Bedard, he came into his own like really big this year. He was really good. Obviously, went down with injury. Injuries suck. We talk about that as Blues fans. We talked about God. I'm going to bring up what you said. Everybody was harping on Kyrou and everything like that about the injury and all that, and and I don't think it's right. I think Kyrou, the talk with his injury has to be addressed as well. But I do think that it's all about, the players stepping up. We saw that with Robert Thomas. He's had his injuries, but he still comes back and shows up and is spectacular, usually in the second half of the year when the Blues make the magical run. But I think the injury definitely hurt them. I still don't think the Hawks would have made the playoffs, even if Bedard was still there. I don't. But
it shows a huge lack of depth. The fact
I
fall out of the way.
I should also mention
playoff spot to what? Second worst team in the league.
I should also mention when those injuries also occurred, they had 3 other key injuries that occurred at the same time. Nick Foligno went down with a broken hand. There was an injury to Jason Dickinson, who defensively was one of our best forwards, and who was pretty good for the first 2 months of the season and then completely fell off a cliff, was Andre Burakovsky, who is a buyout candidate right now. The Hawks did lose a lot of players in that time frame when Bedard and Nazar went down.
I mean, it's fair points, and I'll give you that. And again, trying not to be a Hawks hater, but I am what I am,
The depth isn't there. I do agree. I do agree with you. The depth for me isn't there. The defense for me for Chicago is still a lacking point for me. But I think they'll get better. Well, yeah, I know they'll get better with age and they'll get the experience that they need. But as of right now, I'm not on that wagon that they're going to be in the playoffs competing for anything. We saw it a lot with Toronto and running back the same system. They need to get guys that are going to be in that system to help be supporting cast and good supporting cast to guys like Connor Bedard, Frank Nazar, because those guys are not going to be the only people that are going to have to get it done. We see it with Edmonton. Edmonton has 2 of the best guys in the world, and they can't win anything because their supporting cast sucks.
Which I'm going to add. This offseason, it sounds like the Hawks are going to be big players for free agents
well, that's good. They need to. If they have any
to land Alex talk.
I mean, that would be a great pickup. Like I said, you need, and I mean a supporting cast, but you need guys. You need bigger guys, not like superstar guys, but you need bigger guys that are well-known guys that are good depth pieces, not Burakovsky and Dickinson. I'm sorry, those guys are. They may be great bottom 6 guys, but they're not going to move the needle. It's just not going to work.
What you need is guys like Kyrou. You need those, and I don't want to say mid-level, but mid-age guys. The guys in their mid to late 20s that have the experience that can bring it to the locker room, bring that experience and leadership to the locker room for that young team.
I know. That's what it sounds like they're going to be doing this offseason.
Right.
But again, though, you say Kyrou, but again, I want to say that's fine. That would be cool for Kyrou, and I think Kyrou would excel in a place like Chicago. What are you realistically wanting from Chicago? Chicago doesn't have anything that interests me.
I don't want Kyrou to go to Chicago. I use Kyrou because I brought this up to you, Wendy, before about Kyrou possibly going to Chicago, and you rebuffed me straight up that you didn't need, and it wasn't that you didn't want Kyrou. You didn't think you needed that type of player. You didn't need that experience in the locker room. You didn't want that type of player. Now you're saying you do want that type of player.
I'm not saying it like Kyrou. I was saying more so like a player like Jason Robertson down in Dallas. That's what I was.
Robertson's a big guy. That I qualify as a guy who's a superstar. I think Dallas is going to try to make it work. Do I think that they make it work? I have no idea. That's a big contract, especially if that's what he wants. Chicago could probably do it with the cap space that they probably have. But the thing is I think he would go there. I think he would go there. But the thing is my thing is you can possibly make that happen. But the thing is I think you correct that problem. You have somebody that can also play with Connor Bedard. But then I run into the question of you give him that contract, and then where's the depth? Like, where's going to be your depth for the deeper lines? You're going to have a one-line guy. You're going to have a one-line team in Chicago that'll have, obviously, a few good pieces on that, maybe that second thing. I don't know is Nazar playing with Bedard as well?
He
I
plays
can't
with
remember.
Bedard every now and then, but here's what
Okay.
the Hawks are trying to do this coming season from all reports showing. Bedard, Frondell, and Nazar are going to be our top 3 centermen, and they're going to build out through the wings on those 3 lines, which is a chance it could actually work out that way because Nazar frankly plays better as a centerman than he does a winger. Frondell, you could put him in either wing or center, and he would excel in either position. So they have those type of players. They're just wanting those 3 players. It sounds like to be the top or number 1, 2, and 3 centermen this coming season.
So I like that, but my thing is if you do, like, say Chicago does go out there and make a reach for getting a guy like Jason Robertson, you play him with Connor Bedard. Clearly, I don't see where you would put him. You wouldn't put him, I don't think, with Nazar on the second line. He's a top line guy. You're going to put him there with Bedard, but then I ask, are you going to have a good enough depth and a good enough winger to put with Frank Nazar to excel Frank Nazar? That's kind of where I'm questioning my logic with that, at least. I mean, I think it would be great for Chicago. They would definitely have a good first line with Robertson and Bedard, but where's the depth going to end there for a guy like Nazar, guy like Frondell, or I think, did I say his name right? Frondell?
Yeah, Frondell.
Yeah, Frondell. Where's the depth going to lie? Because getting the experience is great. Those guys could be as great as they can be, but if they don't have the right pieces around them, they're not going to go very far.
Yeah,
it's the fact they do have players coming in, and what they are trying to do through free agency. It sounds like where they will be pointing towards is the wing and a veteran defenseman, and that's where they're going that way.
For me right now, I'm looking at the teams that are going to be good in the next 3 to 5 years are going to be the teams that don't draft the best, but that manage the cap the best, right? The teams that really understand the cap and get the value out of the dollar. And there's not a lot of teams that can do that. There's very few teams that can do that. But I think that's where GMs are going to have to start shifting their focus, especially with the cap going up and all of a sudden all these, the money they're talking about. You're going to have within the next 2 years your first $20 million a year player, right? And unfortunately, $20 million a year on, let's say, $110, that's almost 20% of your cap. Your 20% of your cap is going to one player. That severely limits you. So it's going to be who gets the most value out of the player. And I don't know. It's going to be which GM figures it out first. I really do think that you're going to see a huge shift in the quality of play in the NHL. You're going to see more one-line teams and more weaker bottom six than you've seen in the past, especially for the next couple of years, because the cap going up, you hear it. You hear these numbers going out for free agency and what these guys are wanting. And if GMs think that they can afford it and pay it, you're going to get worse bottom end guys, and it's really going to affect the way the league plays.
Well, and it's going to be interesting too, because a guy that I'm thinking of right off the bat, just bottom six wise, on our team, if you get a caliber of a guy like a Suter who makes very little mistakes, who's very good on that bottom six. You're gonna have to ask yourself too when it goes up though, what is the cost of these bottom six guys gonna look like? Because I think he's a smart guy, but if you look at a guy like that or the caliber of that, and they all play their role, they do a fantastic job. They play the great bottom 6 minutes and they produce down there. What is the pay going to look like for a guy like that down there at the bottom six? You're going to be looking at guys, at bottom 6 minutes. We talked about how we couldn't pay a guy like Radek Faksa the amount that he was making for a fourth line guy. Imagine what it's going to be when the cap goes up and you have a guy like Radek Faksa who does the important stuff that you need the bottom six guy to do. What the cap's going to look like on a guy like that. When the cap is crazy.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to go the opposite way than what you're saying, that the bottom six guy isn't going to go up, that he's going to go down, because that extra money is going to go to the top, not the bottom. It's not going to get spread out. It's all going to go to the top.
And I'm saying then you'll have to see what teams will be willing, because again, you see it now already that guys don't want to play for certain teams because they don't pay them enough. Now you're going to be looking at, if a team's going to be willing enough to pay that, they're probably going to be going there. And then you'll see a bunch of situations where you're seeing guys only go to certain teams that'll be willing to pay those guys that money.
When you look at who the guy from Detroit, Dylan Larkin, right?
Larkin.
Yeah, Dylan Larkin.
And he says, I want to trade. And in his no trade list is 3 teams. If I was a GM, I would have laughed. I would have laughed in his face. I would have absolutely laughed in his face. You're going to sit there and seriously say that those are the only. That's it. Oh, you know what? You're playing for us. Nice having a trade. Mm-hmm. Nice having trade talks with you. Not going to happen. You're right. This understanding that, I want to go only to a team that can win now. No, you know what? A great player wants to go to a team where he can make that team win, not to a team that's ready to win now. And that's why for all the Blues fans that want Dylan Larkin, that attitude right there is why I don't want a player like that.
I think that's a good point, because Dylan, we get the list of teams, Vegas, Minnesota, and Florida. You look at those two teams, look at the 3 teams, okay, those teams are in the win now kind of window. He wants to go to a team. The way I view a player like that is, like I said, it's tough to want a guy like that. He does do the production stuff that you need. He is a 70-point guy. And that would be fantastic for any team. But I view a good player. I think good players fit into fantastic teams, but I think great players elevate teams that need to get over that hump. And I think when you see a guy like Dylan Larkin do that, I think it tells me that, okay, he wants to be a good fit somewhere and not a great player. Not a good fit, not a great fit that can really boost a team that may be right on that edge to get over the hump. I think he wants it easily handed it to him. And I get it. Players want to win the cup. He's been in Detroit where he hasn't had playoff success or any playoff success, so I understand it. But I think great players elevate teams to elite status, not the other way around.
Yep. So let's talk about Blues and trade and trade rumor. Justin, this is your forte. I'm going to let you go and just let you know what I think. I'll be honest right now. There's not a player on the Blues that I'm willing to trade. There's not there isn't. And I'll get into it when you go, because there's something you believe that I don't, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, look. First of all, I want to say what's up, Matt Lowe. I don't think we said anything about that.
I showed it. I just didn't mention it because when you and Wendy were having a conversation.
Yeah, and then Lance was talking about the huge shift in much higher ticket prices. Yeah, no. So for the Blues and the trading rumors, I've seen. So it first started out with Mason McTavish. for me, Mason McTavish is a guy that hasn't been getting really any playing minutes for Coach Q over there in Anaheim. Now, it could be the case that he needs a change of scenery, and that's all fine and dandy. But what I've been seeing is a lot of Blues fans want to trade Jordan Kyrou or Jordan Kyrou and Colton Parayko for a guy like Mason McTavish. So they want to obviously there's more to that guy. I sent you the screenshot of what I saw. It was like Simon Nemec for Kyrou and then Parayko for Mason McTavish. And the way I view it is 1-for-1s don't ever really happen in the NHL nowadays. Like there's always added pieces to that. That's not going to get it done for me. And you're running into the same situation that you're already in now. I think the Blues need a second line center, or at least a guy that can play on that second line with Jordan Kyrou consistently, that gives him an elevated boost in his offensive stats. You can't bring in a guy like McTavish and then get rid of a guy like Jordan Kyrou, because then you run into the same situation. Yes, you get a second line center. Does he pan out to be second line center? I don't know. He hasn't been getting play minutes, like I said, in Anaheim. But then you move out Kyrou. Who are you going to put with Mason McTavish? Pavel Buchnevich? Doesn't really make any sense. He had a down year as well. So you run into the same situation where you don't have someone to play with a guy on the second line currently, so you want to bring in a guy that can play on the second line, but move out the guy that you already had on the second line. You're running into the same issue. That's just my thought process.
My thought process, and this is because I'm older, and I remember probably the Blues' worst trade ever, right? And I've had the guy that was a centerpiece of that trade on my show, and I love the guy. I think he's great storyteller. I enjoyed having him on the show. If I could get him again, I absolutely would. But it destroyed a team that was a Stanley Cup contender. And I'm talking about the trade of when they traded the entire second scoring line for Garth Butcher to Vancouver, right? It destroyed the Blues. It killed the Blues for a couple of years. I mean, they made the playoffs in that, but they weren't a contender anymore. It really, you got a guy, you gave way too much up to get the guy because you wanted that guy. And right now, the way Blues fans are, of just, we want to get rid of this guy. They want to give him up for nothing. They want to get Parayko up for nothing. And you got to take a step back. And first of all, when it comes to both Parayko and Kyrou, you know what? 90% of you are nothing but sheep and don't understand the game of hockey. I'm sorry, it's mean. I probably shouldn't say it. But when you come up with some of these trades, that's what you do. And Kyrou brings a lot more. Bannister said it. He's absolutely said it. Be careful what you wish for. How are you going to replace what you give up? And that's what I don't think people understand. You want him to do all these things, but that's not who they are. Parayko is not a bruiser. He's not. Now, he did fight for Canada, and you know what? Maybe he should drop the gloves for the Blues every now and then, but that's not who he is.
The thing is, what is it, guy? And you bring up a good point. That's kind of what I mean. Everybody wants Parayko to be some bruiser. Dude, Parayko's been in this system. Parayko's been in the organization for what, 10 years?
10 years or more.
You know the guy that you're getting with. Like, why are you surprised that he is not some bruiser? Parayko is the first of all, the Blues are doing exactly what they need to do with Colin Parayko. What did they have Parayko do? They had Parayko start out with Philip Broberg. Philip Broberg is turning into a number one defenseman for the St. Louis Blues. He's playing top pair minutes. Then they switched out and they put Logan Mailloux with Broberg. They're getting him experience. They're getting him, obviously he needs to develop a little bit more his defensive side. I think he's learning the offensive system very well. Then you get Colton Parayko. Instead of playing him on top pair minutes, the Blues are doing exactly what they need to do. He's getting older. He's still a good defenseman. and they're pairing him with a young guy in Theo Lindstein and getting guys with younger experience that are younger and having him be a mentor to those guys. That's exactly what the Blues should be doing. Why are you complaining and wanting to hand this guy off for nothing? Like, I mean, I don't think Mason McTavish is nothing, but do I think it's a valuable piece? I do think the Blues need a second-line center. I will stand by that until I'm blue in the face. I don't care what any Blues fan says. The Blues need a second-line center because they have not had that for Jordan Kyrou to play with. Why trade Jordan Kyrou and bring in a second-line center, but then you don't have a winger to play with that second-line center? Keep Kyrou and bring in a second-line center. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
This is where you and me slightly disagree, right? I say you need to bring in a player that can help Kyrou. I don't care if he plays center or wing or if he's what you consider a second-line center or not. What you need is the player that complements Kyrou, and I don't care what position he plays. As long as you get a line that all complement each other, let's go.
That's fine.
I want a guy that complements him. I'm not.
Well, and I even said that I said a second line center, but I said a player that can play on that line with Kyrou, whether a winger or a center. First of all, you got to look at the pending UFAs. You have UFAs, so the Blues have already had history now with the offer sheets of Broberg and Holloway, right? So we know that it can pan out. You have guys out there that you are possibly able to offer sheet, and you're aiming for a guy like Mason McTavish when you have a guy in Leo Carlson who's out there, Adam Fantilli who's out there, Jason Robertson who's out there. You have defensemen out there and Brent Clark. Who else? Simon Nemec who's out there. You have guys out there that you can offer sheet. Not that this is going to work out, but you can handcuff some of these teams by doing that.
Yeah, my thing with the offer sheets, I think when it came to the Broberg and the Holloway offer sheets, I think we got really, really, really lucky.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I knew those guys would pan out.
Hold on. Let me finish, Justin. Let me finish. I think we got really lucky in that we were able to get them for the money we got them for. Because they could have the thing with the offer sheet, and I don't think so many people don't understand this. It cost us a lot more than what people think. We ended up giving up extra picks than just what they were, right? Broberg cost us a second. Holloway cost us a third, but we didn't have a second, so we had to make a trade to get a second. And then we made a trade of another pick and a prospect, a lower end prospect, to make Edmonton not. So it would end up being like 6 picks that we gave up for these players. The guys that you're talking about are going to be 3, 4, and 5 first round draft picks.
Well, see, like I said, first of all, I'm not saying that these are going to happen. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that it's a possibility. Everybody wants Steen. First of all, Steen's coming into his first year as GM. If you want him to be aggressive, then he's going to be aggressive. That's the way he wants to take the approach. He can be aggressive. But there's guys out in this market that I think Blues fans are missing. First of all, you're talking about a guy like Elias Pettersson. I know that I was in the camp of not going after Elias Pettersson. First of all, I think Pettersson needs a change of scenery. I think that's clear as day. Can a guy like Elias Pettersson, who is 27 years old, come in and play with a guy like Jordan Kyrou? Absolutely, I think he can. I think he would elevate Jordan Kyrou. I think Jordan Kyrou needs a guy, like you said, on that second line, whether he's a center or a winger, to play with Jordan Kyrou to get that element. And first of all, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's super, super lucky. You freaking absolutely fleeced the Edmonton Oilers. You're getting a guy in Dylan Holloway who's played top 6 minutes since coming to St. Louis, who's been outstanding when he's healthy. Then you have a guy like Phil Brubber who's turning into a number one defenseman. I don't care what any pick you gave. You gave a second round pick and a third round pick or whatever the hell you're talking about. That is a steal for a guy that's becoming a first overall defenseman.
You gave more than that.
It doesn't matter. You're getting every penny that you are. They are playing their asses off right now in St. Louis. I don't care what you gave up in that situation. You stole that trade.
You're not going to strike gold twice. Everyone going, oh well, see, we did it before. So we do it again. No, the other GMs aren't going to let you do it again. That's what I'm
okay. I didn't say that they would let them do it again. I didn't say that it would even be a situation where they should do that. I'm just giving out options. I think Blues fans are undervaluing some of these guys like Colton Parayko and Jordan Kyrou. I think that they want to get rid of these guys so badly, but I think that what they're looking at is the wrong situation here. But I think that when you say Lightning doesn't strike twice, first of all, the Blues got two players, so the Lightning did strike twice. So it would be the third time in this case. Technically, one fail swoop, but two guys nonetheless. But I think what you gave up realistically was not that bad from what you're getting production-wise from those two guys. I mean, let's be honest. Come on. Let's be honest.
I am, when it comes to offer sheets, I am still of the old school mentality of the Blues have been burned pretty bad by them. We got I still think we got lucky here with these two. And not how many people remember that, one of the best defensemen to ever play in the NHL used to be a Blue. And because of a offer sheet, he went somewhere else and won 2 or 3 cups.
It's because you guys didn't have the assets. You got too greedy with the offer sheets 2 years in a row.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it's just, and the way it played out, I'm concerned. I'm not an offer sheet guy, and
if you don't want an offer sheet, go out there, get Elias Pettersson. Elias Pettersson, decent option, depending on what you give up for him.
Elias Pettersson, what's it going to cost you? What are you going to give up?
What is it going to cost you? I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all about what it could cost you. But again, I'm sticking by it. Jordan Kyrou has no one to play with currently. And you're the biggest Jordan Kyrou guy of all. So you of anybody should know that he needs somebody to play with. Anybody should know that. Jordan Kyrou cannot play with a makeshift guy, with a makeshift line that he has now. It can't happen.
I don't want a big fucking name. Plain and simple. I don't want a big name because I think a big name is going to come in and destroy the team from what it is. It's going to take the team backwards. Sorry, Wendy.
Well, first of all, you can go out there and get. I mean, Matt Nyes is a right wing, but you got a guy like Matt Nyes. You got a guy like Elias Pett. I don't think Elias Pettersson is a big name to Vancouver, but for his career trajectory, I think he would be a great fit here in St. Louis. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But what would you give up? You'd probably have to give up Dvorsky. We talked about Dvorsky. You've been on we should have got Zach Benson kick. So I would be okay with him toying around with the idea of getting rid of Dvorsky.
I wanted Benson at that pick. That doesn't mean I want to give up Dvorsky. You got a guy that's developing the way you want that guy to develop, right? A 10th overall pick. I don't want to give up a 10th overall pick. I trust the Blues to develop the players they have. And I think that they've got guys in the system right now that can do the things that we need to do, that we can get into free agency the right way, get the mid-level guy that's going to come in and help our guys out without losing everybody. And that's where I'm different. I just don't. I just feel like I tried to hint at this with the interview we did about the locker room issues, and it got blown off, not by you obviously, but I still think that there's some leadership issues in that locker room. It just feels like it for me, and bringing somebody in is just going to highlight that.
I don't think I think you talk about media. I don't think there's any locker room issues going on. I mean, I don't think there's any locker room issues going on at all. I look at it like this. You're a big Jordan Kyrou guy. I like Jordan Kyrou as well. You're a big Jordan Kyrou guy. If anybody should know that Jordan Kyrou needs somebody to play with, it's you, and you should know that. The makeshift line that he has right now, playing with Boosh, playing with Neighbors. First of all, I hate to break it to you, I love Jake Neighbors. I love Dvorsky. Dvorsky and Neighbors are not second line guys right now. Neighbors may never develop into a second line guy. He's not consistently on that line. Dvorsky, he is not a second line guy right now. I'm sorry, it's just not the case. So you need somebody to come in. He doesn't have to be a superstar. It can be a guy that just fits the mold. That is a well-known guy. Matt Nyes, he's a right wing. You could still bring in Matt Nyes, maybe fit him on the left wing, something. Matt Nyes, he's talked about. I think a center. You can maybe bring in, depending on what you can get for him. I don't think McTavish is the answer. I think he lacks defensively. But again, Nico Hischier. I talked about Nico Hischier. These guys are not like superstar guys. You know, they may be superstar guys on their team, but they're not superstar guys in the league. You know, you got to find somebody to put with Kyrou. I'm sorry.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. And I don't want to sound like we're there's animosity between us. There's just a difference in belief. Right? That's all it is. We're not calling each other names. We're calling each other out. We just have a different belief.
You look at Kyrou. How old is Kyrou? How old is Kyrou right now?
28.
Kyrou is 28 years old. He is in the prime of his career. If you wait, like you want to wait, everybody wants to sit on their hands and knees and wait for Dvorsky to pan out. Dvorsky, I'm telling you right now, Dvorsky is not a second line center right now. Neighbors is not a second line guy right now. He is not. He can play second line, but he can't consistently play second line. You are wasting Kyrou's best years on waiting. And what are you going to do when Kyrou regresses? Because he's still got a couple more years. He could still play very good and still be consistent, but he's going to regress at some point. He is in the prime of his career right now.
I wish waiting. I had it. I wish I had the free agency list. That's what I don't have the free agency list.
Yeah, I don't have the free agency list. Well, those are some of the guys. The free agency are some of the guys I talked about. Leo Carlson. Who else? Jason Robertson. Brent Clark. Simon Nemec. Pavel Mentikov. Those three are defensemen, but Adam Fantilli for Columbus. You know, these guys are good players, and yes, I think that they're superstars for their teams, but they're not superstars in the league quite yet. They're guys that are still young that can come in and fit that spot that you need. Yes, you'd have to probably give up, more picks than you'd like, but I think Adam Fantilli would be great. I think Leo Carlson. I know Lance was talking about it in the comment section that he's old, but I don't think Leo Carlson is that old. I think Leo Carlson's young, I think.
What is
but I could be wrong.
Website for the salary cap? I can't remember it.
That's a good question. I don't know. What is that?
Cap friendly, but now it's something else, and I can't remember what it is.
I'm not sure actually.
I usually have it up, but I guess I've taken it down.
Yeah, I can't remember because it was cap friendly, but now I can't remember what it actually is.
Trying to see. Yeah, I don't have it up here somewhere.
And obviously, yes, you're talking like obviously. I don't think that offer sheets are the best way to go for the Blues. I don't, but I think if the Blues want to be aggressive without giving, your big thing was not giving up anything. The way that you could do that without giving up players is offer sheets.
Yeah.
You'd have to give up picks, but I think you wouldn't have to give up any. You wouldn't have to give up any players.
True. I want to make sure that if we're going to do offer sheets, that we're doing it in the realm of what we did with. I don't want to give up first round picks. First round picks are too valuable. I don't want to. If you got to give up a first round pick to get an offer sheet for an offer sheet, then I don't want to do it. My second round is as high as I want to go, and we don't have any seconds. We'd have to make a trade to get a second, and that's what we had to do with Broberg. Is we had to make a trade to get a second round pick. But actually, next year we might have a second.
The rumor is Pedersen.
I know. I talked about it.
Huh?
I talked about it.
You need to go?
No, no, my dad was talking to me about Pedersen, which I talked about. Pedersen is also a guy, depending on what you'd have to give up. Pedersen also in the prime of his career, but I think he complements a guy like Jordan Kyrou perfectly. I do. I think Pedersen is good. If you look at Pedersen's career stats, everybody talks about him being so bad of a player, and yes, he hasn't been the best for Vancouver, but Pedersen has like 500 games played in the NHL and has like 500 points in the NHL. It's something ridiculous like that. I mean, to get a guy like that to play with Kyrou would be spectacular.
Puckpedia is what I was looking for. I knew it would come up, and I don't see. I was trying to see if I could come up with the. Oh, here we go. Free agents.
Yeah, Leo Carlson is 21 years old. Now, the way that I look at this is, yes, you'd have to give up something. But the thing is I don't think Anaheim would let Leo Carlson. But the thing is you would be. It would make you it would make it kind of a douche move. But I don't think that they would let him walk. I don't think they would let Leo Carlson walk. But the thing is you handcuff them either way. Either you take their young guy and Leo Carlson at 21 years old, or you handcuff them.
He's still an RFA. They hold his rights.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying that I saw something with a list or whatever that he would be able to be offer sheeted. So I'm saying. I think either way, obviously, I don't think you want to toy around with the idea of offer sheets all the time, but I think if you can handcuff a team like Anaheim who has the cap space to do it, I don't think that they let Leo Carlson walk. I absolutely do not think that. But I think you can handcuff them either way. Either you take their 21-year-old center who's going to be a great player for years to come, or you handcuff them by having them pay the outrageous price that they're going to have to pay, lessening their cap floor.
Here's something of what I would be looking at for a type of player that I would kind of be okay with the Blues going out for. Alex Tuch, 30 years old, $5 million cap hit. He had a modified no trade clause. We can still work with that. That's a guy I would be okay offering a 2 or 3 year deal with, right?
Alex Tuch is a right wing. He plays the same position as Jordan Kyrou.
Okay. So Letty, we had him. I want the guy that's making. I don't want the guy that's going to make $8 to $10 million a year. I want the guy that's going to make $3 to $5 million a year to help the Blues move in that right direction. I want the guys that can really. I don't want the name guys. I don't want the money. I don't want the money guy. I don't want a guy that wants the money. I want a guy that wants to come. And the guys that make the $3 to $5 million, they want to come.
I think every NHL player that has been born to play this sport wants the Stanley Cup. I think that's probably the most outlandish thing I've ever heard you say. Come on, every NHL player wants the cup.
I think that there are a lot of players out there that care a lot more about the dollar than they do about the winning.
I mean, yes, there's players that want the money, of course, but every player that plays a national sport wants the championship. Come on, man. Like, everybody does. Everybody wants the championship. Whether they care about the dollar, that's one thing. And yes, there is players that absolutely do care about the dollar, but every player wants the championship.
I want them to care about winning the cup first and foremost, end all. Right? I want a Kurt Warner. I want a Kurt Warner. That's what I want. A guy, and the reason I say that, Here's a guy that when his contract came up, he got bigger offers, and he said, "You know what St. Louis is offering, I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. I don't need more," because he wanted to win in St. Louis. That's the type of player I want. I want those type of players because in 19, to be honest, we had those type of players. We won in 19. We won the cup because we had the players that cared more about winning the cup than anything else, with maybe one exception.
Yeah, I mean, this is 2026. Sports are going in a different direction. Caps going up. You're not gonna get away with paying. You're not gonna get away with paying a second line guy $4 million. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. You are not going to get. You are not. And if you're going to pay a guy that much, you're probably not paying a guy that's all that high, all echelon and talent. First off, but the way that the cap's going up, you're not going to get away with paying a guy $4 million to play second line minutes. You know, it's just not going to happen. People want to get paid. No matter what. Yes, you can care about the dollar, you can care about the cup, but I don't think it's all that true that if you get paid, you don't care about the cup. I don't think that that's right at all. I think that you can still want to get paid, but still care about the cup. But you got to produce. Obviously, you got to produce.
Here's the top 11 free agents by cap hit. By cap hit, right?
All right.
Ovechkin, Vianney, John Carlson, Jacob Trouba, Evan Hayes, Andre Kopitar, Anders Lee, Jaden Schwartz, Oliver Backstrom, Evander Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko.
And you know what?
Top 11.
You know what's the same with all those guys?
What?
They're old.
All but
They're
one.
All of them. Most of them are old. I don't know. I don't know who's the youngest on that list, but mostly all of them are old.
He's 28, right?
Who is?
Well, when you get into to UFA, the majority of those guys are going to be 28 or older.
Yeah, but you don't sign those guys though. You don't sign those guys to be second line guys though. You sign those guys to be depth pieces. And first, well, one of them's retired. Kopitar is not playing. So, but still, those guys are old. Yes, those are fantastic players, but they're old. That's kind of what I'm hinting at. You want to get younger. My thing is yes, I don't want to pay a crazy amount either. But if you're looking at a situation where, okay, say the Blues go out there and possibly get an Elias Pettersson, right? I think the Blues, if they're smart, they'd obviously ask Vancouver to retain salary. Now, with that being in mind, if the Blues were to make a trade for something like that and they asked Vancouver to retain salary, how would you feel about that?
Depends on how much. Well, I don't know if they can because it depends on how many years he's got. I don't know how many years he's got left on his contract.
I'm not sure. Not much. I don't know how much he has, but I'm just giving an example. So say the Vancouver Canucks, like just hypothetically, if they retain 35% to 40% of his salary.
I would probably be willing to work something out. It depends on that. It says 5 or 6, and I think that you can only take salary for 2 or 3 years, and you have to take it you can't take it for part of the contract. It's got to be for the length of the contract.
Mm-hmm. Well, right. Okay. So, but again, it's a option. Like I said, all I think is, I think the Blues are going in the right direction. I do. But the thing is I think I think there's two camps here. I think everybody wants to be aggressive and trade all these pieces away, which will hurt the Blues. I do believe that. But I think the Blues, there's options where they could get something and not have to give up as much as everybody thinks that they do. I think the Blues are capable of going out there and possibly being aggressive but getting a guy, they need to add a piece or two. Maybe one on the back end, maybe one at the second line spot, whether that's a winger or a center.
Dylan Dubé is going to be on the. Who's Dylan Dubé?
Dylan Dubé was the guy that we signed to a PTO in Springfield, and he went down to Springfield, played very well down there.
Yeah. But he got released, didn't he? I mean, he's a UFA. I'm pretty sure he's a UFA.
I think so, but I think that there was talks about the Blues possibly actually signing him to play bottom 6.
Yeah, was he one of the 5? Was he one of the 5? The Canadian 5?
I don't know if he was one of the Canadian. I think there was something about him being in a allegation or something. I can't remember the whole story behind Dylan Dubé, but I think when they signed him, it was kind of like a loot sheet kind of thing where some people weren't happy because of it. I don't know the exact situation. I think he was found innocent or I don't know. I don't know the situation exactly, but I know people weren't happy about it.
Yeah, he was one of the 5. He was one of the 5, right? That's and I honestly, I got to say this. I don't have an issue with the to me, these guys were exonerated. Plain and simple. I don't care how you feel. A court of law exonerated them. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Lance says he's a fringe guy, not a full-time NHL player. I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, he would be signed. He would be signed as a depth piece. He would be signed as a bottom 6 guy. I think that there's guys that won't be on this team. I think you have to look at possibly offloading a Sundqvist. A Jonathan Drouin can be in the cards for a trade. I think you can package a guy like Matthew Kessel and a deal. There is guys on this team that you can easily. I think easily. I mean, I don't know if I should say easily, but there's guys in on this team that won't be here, that shouldn't be here, that you can package in a deal that would bring pieces in that you do need. So rather than focusing on trading a Kyrou, trading a Parayko, keep those guys. Those guys are good, talented, valued guys. Parayko's doing what he needs to do, mentoring the young guys. Kairou's a 70-point guy. Keep him and get somebody to play with Kyrou instead of trading him for nothing. That doesn't equal his value.
Right now we're only losing 2 players off last year's team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're losing Hall and we're losing Sundqvist. We could possibly lose Berggren and Kessel. They're both RFAs, and they would have to be offered minimum contracts, right? Kessel would I think like his offer would be right around $1 million. I could see it happening, right? Berggren, same thing. I think he's also right around that. I can't remember what his salary. Qualifying offer would be 1.82. Would probably be like $2 million for him, right?
I'm okay. I'm okay with him. I'm okay with Berggren coming back on this team. I'm okay with that. I think he did what he needed to. I think he's a decent fringe guy that can be in the depth pieces here. But I think guys like, I think we already know we're getting with a guy like Matthew Kessel. I just don't see it panning out here. I think that Matthew Kessel would be a good piece to add to a package deal elsewhere. I think Sundqvist shouldn't be on this team.
Yeah.
I love Sundqvist. He's a locker room guy. He'll always have his heart here in St. Louis, and I love that for a guy like that. We talk about it a lot.
He's going to be part of the Blues alumni. He's going to be one of those guys that once he retires, he's going to really become a huge part of the Blues alumni. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big Sundqvist guy, but just because the love that I have for him doesn't mean that I think he should be on this team. And I think with him being on this team, I think it takes away a spot from a more deserving guy.
Yeah. I could see Finley getting traded for next to nothing. I don't see Walker getting traded, but it could happen. We got him for 2 more years, 26 and 20, or 26 and 27, through 28, through the end of 28. So we got him for 2 more years. Really, our lineup, when you come down to it, for the next 2 years is almost set, right? This is the free agents, the UFAs that we have in the next 2 years. So through 27, 28, right? You have Priya Suter, Jonathan Drouin, Oscar Sundquist, Torrey Krug, who's basically gone anyways, Tyler Tucker, and Matthew Kessel.
Mhm.
That's
And
it.
all those guys, for me,
Well, and then
obviously
there's the
Sonny.
2 guys that we had talked about, Sundquist and Hole.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is I wouldn't mind if they use those guys to package those guys. The only guy that I'm not trading out of there for sure is Suter. I'm not getting rid of Suter. I think Suter. We talked about it on the Mike Myers show. The guy had just a crazy amount of, like, he didn't have like very many turnovers for the amount of games he played. He was absolutely smart with the puck. There's no reason to trade a guy like Suter. I saw that too. Someone was saying, "Oh, we'll trade Parayko, Suter, in the 11th for Matthew Nyes." I think Matthew Nyes is a great player, but absolutely not. I'm not trading Suter. I'm not trading Parayko. First of all, Parayko is not going to waive his no movement clause, I don't think, to Toronto. I don't think he will do that. But Matthew Knight, he's a great option, but am I getting rid of Pius Suter and Parayko for him in a deal with the 11th? Absolutely not. I think that's an abysmal trade.
All right. Torpo might not be around either. Honestly, Walker too, maybe. Torpachenko, actually, we've got him for a couple more years, I think.
Yeah, Torpchenko's fine. Torpchenko will be here. I like Torpchenko. Like I said, I know that we talk about Walker a lot on this show. I really like Torpchenko. He's legitimately what he is. He's a Russian torpedo. The guy is fast for a guy of his size. You wouldn't think he's that fast, but he is sneaky fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sneaky fast, and he's a good energy guy on that 4th line. He consistently is on that 4th line. Nathan Walker, we talked about it. His injury might have played a little bit of a part in it, but Nathan Walker didn't really come up with the energy that he usually does after that. He was really good in the beginning of the season. Took that injury. You thought he would kind of rebound a bit.
Injury affected him heavily. Right.
I think the injury affected him, but I think I think at some point, I think it did affect him, but I do think that he just didn't have the energy that he had, the last couple of seasons. And it's nothing mean to say about Nathan Walker. I love Nathan Walker, but
Matt Lowe,
you got to call a spade a spade.
Which 4th line would you play?
What's up?
He's saying, ask Justin which 4th line would he play. So who would you make our 4th line?
Who would I make our 4th? See, the thing is it's so tough because what you had with that WTF line, I don't think you'll ever have that, with what you have right now with the guys. I liked some of the guys that we have now. I think Finley came and did his part. I think if you do sign a guy like Dylan Dubé, just to a small I think he would be a decent guy. He's a faster guy for that 4th line. So
I missed something. He had put a comment earlier. He said, we could have a 4th line of Dubé, Peterson, and Kamansky, and taking those guys over Finley, Torpo, or Walker. So which one of those 2 4th lines would you rather play?
So would I rather play Finley,
Kamansky over Finley, Torpo, and Walker?
See, the thing is that would be a big change. I could maybe see 1 or 2 of those guys, but I don't think that a full new line would come in.
Is he saying Elias Peterson on the 4th line?
No, he's talking that we have a Pedersen on our team in our farm system. I can't remember. Is his? I don't know. I don't know his. I don't think his first name is Elias. It might be Elias, but he's not talking about Elias Pettersson.
No, we don't have a Pettersson on our team. I'm looking at least. Well, maybe we do. I was looking at the wrong one.
Or Peterson or what? My thing is though
we have a Dylan Peterson. We have a Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan Peterson. So yeah, he's talking about Dylan Peterson has some size on. See, the thing is that's like a new third line. You're not going to get a new third line. You may see one or two of those guys possibly compete for a roster spot, but guys like Nathan Walker and Torchenko, those guys are going to be hard for the Blues to part ways with, if that makes sense. You're not going to have a completely new fourth line.
Well, what I think is going to happen? Oh no, he was meaning Dylan Peterson. Dylan Peterson, is that who I said? Art Peterson is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Dylan Peterson. Yeah, Dylan Peterson.
Okay.
But yeah, no, because he had Dylan Peterson, Kaskamaki, and somebody else. That's a completely new fourth line. That's not going to happen because not all three of those guys are going to get roster spots.
I think we're going to see Stenberg, Yurko, and Carbonell get significant playing time this year.
Yeah, we should see Carbonell. We will see Stenberg. I'm quite sure of it. Like I said, those guys will probably be more third line guys. I'd love to see. You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see Carbonell get some good playing time with P. Suter.
I think that work.
I think Suter, first of all, Suter has shown that he is so smart with the puck. Yes, he needs to get the more production, but he's never been a guy that's going to get you Jordan Kyrou production. If you can get a guy like Suter, who is a veteran presence, to mentor a guy and have the smartness of a hockey IQ of a Suter for a guy like Justin Carbonell, I think that'll do wonders for Justin Carbonell. So I think you probably see Justin Carbonell probably play some minutes with a guy like Suter. The third line.
Someone who I could see getting some playing time next year, if there's an injury, especially to a center, I could see Dean getting called up.
Yeah, I know Dean. I know Dean came in and played very well. I still don't know about his ceiling. It would be great. I mean, if Dean can come in and really throw a wrinkle into everything and make it hard for the Blues to see who they want to come up in the system, that would be great. Because when we first got Dean and Dean came through the system and then he had to leave and everything like that, Dean was not coming anywhere close to the value of what we traded away with Barbashev.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's ever going to reach that echelon. But if Dean can come in and play a wrinkle into the plans, that would be great because it would give us another option. But as of right now, Dean has not, even come close to the value that you gave up with Barbashev.
Matt Lowe says Carbo spending a year in Springfield thought would be a good thing too. Same for Yerrick. Yerrick already spent a year with them, or not a year, but a partial year. I think Carbonell, especially at last year's camp. I mean, we could have asked Drew about this and probably, we can save it with something when maybe we can ask him offline. Is, how ready was Carbonell? How close to was he of the Blues saying, hey, you're going to make the team instead of him going back to college? I think he went to college, right?
Well, Carbonell was one of the last guys to be that was cut from the team. Yeah. He was arguably one of the best Blues players in camp. In training camp, in the preseason, he really made some strides. Do I think that he's going to play his rookie year? No, I don't. I think he'll get his stretch of games to get his experience, under wraps. But I don't think you'll see him as a rookie until next year. I think that he will get some games, but I think that he will probably play some Springfield minutes.
Well, I mean, I know I'm pretty sure he's going to get his 9. I'm pretty sure he's going to get his 9.
I think so too, but I just don't think he's going to play a full season. I don't think he's going to make the team out of training camp is kind of what I mean.
I think he makes it out of training camp and gets his nine games. Gets his 9 games, and I think he can sit for 3. So 11 games. Like he can only be a healthy scratch for 3 games. Right? Then they got to send him down. So I don't know.
Well, and I also think for that though, it also has to do with who the Blues are bringing back. Are they going to sign a Dylan Dubé? Are they going to sign? Are they parting ways with Sundqvist? Are they parting ways with certain other individuals? I think it's going to also play a part because if you do see a mass exodus of Blues not taking some players back, there is probably a chance that he probably starts on the roster.
To me, if they haven't signed a guy by the draft day, they're not bringing him back. Because remember, you can sign your own guys now.
Mm-hmm.
If they haven't signed a guy by draft day, they're not bringing him back. Because you got to know prior to your free agency open how much money you got to spend. You got to have your own guy signed, right? You got to have your own guy signed, and that's just you got to your offer sheets on your RFAs, and then your own guy signed, right? And
I think what we'll see when it comes to the draft. Like you said, I don't think, if you haven't signed him by the draft, you're probably not bringing him back. But as for like the draft, like everybody's wanting to move up, I don't think the Blues are going to be moving up. I think you're going to see one of two things. Either you're going to see the Blues make those picks, or you're going to see the Blues trade at least one of those picks for something in return.
The pick I see them trading the most is the 29th or the 30th pick. I think it's the 30th we got. I see the 30th pick getting traded the most.
Yeah, probably most likely, but that we'll see because what will that get you? What if a team is willing to kind of overpay you for that 30th pick, which I don't believe that they will, but I think that would be ideal because then you would be, first of all, you would be adding a piece hopefully with that 30th overall first round pick.
Yeah.
And then making the 11th and 15th pick, that would be incredibly ideal. But the thing is will someone play ball with you and give you the piece that you want for that 30th overall pick? I don't know.
I think someone would drop down. I think the Blues could move up into the 20s, into the late 20s, like 25, 26, 27.
Yeah, you could see that. Yeah,
and also maybe give up a couple. So they've got a bunch of 3rd and 4th round picks or 3rd and 5th round picks, something like that. Let's see if I can see here what they got in picks. So they've got 3 firsts, 3 thirds, 4 second, or 2 fourths, 2 fifths, a 6th, and a 7th. I could definitely see them giving up the 30th pick and the 30th pick and also a 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick to move up into the 26, 27 spot, move up 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah, I can see that. I know Blues fans would be screaming at the top of them, "Oh my God, it's not enough. The Blues aren't being aggressive." For me, like I said, I don't.
They're good at picking at that spot.
Oh, I know. I absolutely know. Fans like us that pay attention and all that, we know that the Blues draft well, so it doesn't really matter if they make them or not. I won't be angry if they make every pick. It is what it is. But I still think, like I said, me and you talked about this. I don't think the Blues are that far off. I think adding a piece or two while developing some of the guys that you have now. Obviously, you don't have to go with the caliber of guys that I talked about. Again, I know that you view them as superstars, but they're not superstars upon the league. They're just, superstars kind of for their team. Again, I think you need to add a piece or two, and then I think the Blues are in the playoffs. I really do.
I do too. But here's my thing, and I'm gonna preface that. As long as one of the pieces we don't get rid of is Benner. I think if we get rid of Benner, we are going to severely hurt our playoff chances.
For me, I don't think. I think there's a higher possibility that Bennington starts this year with us. I don't see them. I think the only way Bennington's going to be getting moved is if the Blues are not in a playoff spot by the deadline, then he will be moved.
I think
that's the only way.
For me, he's a player I'd be okay letting go and getting nothing in return.
I wouldn't, because you don't have a goalie ready. You don't have a goalie.
Well, no. Well, by that point, you should have a goalie ready. But what I'm trying to get at is, first of all, he full 6-year contract. He's given us his all. He's had some bad years, but he's been, and he's that guy that in the playoffs can win you a series. He can win you not a game. He can win you a series. And if you can get to the playoffs, if he could get you past the first round, win you a series, and into the second round, I think to me that's worth it. And, if he decides not to sign a 1-year deal with St. Louis with a, open no trade clause, or an open clause or something like that, or a 10 to 12 team no trade or something in those lines, I'd be okay. I would be okay with him walking without getting anything in return, because I feel like he's earned it. It's like Brett Hull. When Brett Hull's last year, the Blues could have traded him, but they didn't. They kept him, let him play out his contract, and then said, sorry, we're not going to re-sign you, even though he wanted to re-sign here. And he goes somewhere else and wins 2 cups.
Well, for me, like I said, if you're Bennington, okay, and you want to, say if that is the case, right, and Bennington plays out his year here, and then he wants to re-sign. If he wants to re-sign, sure, fine. Re-sign him to something. Obviously, he's not going to. He'd have to be realistic. You couldn't pay him anything over what you pay him now. He would be a backup. Obviously, you wouldn't have to shortchange him. But if he wants to stay here, then fine. Let him. I'm fine with that. But again, I'm still under the impression that I think Bennington's a hard work individual, and I think he wants to be a starter here. I think he wants to just be a starter in general, and I think that's gonna make him not sign here. So I think you want a goalie to be ready, but a year, I just don't think we'll have a goalie ready. I don't think we'll have a goalie ready.
And I disagree with this sentiment completely. What if Benner doesn't want to be here? I think he does want to be here. I think he views this team as a winner. And you say he's not even the number 1 here anymore. I disagree with that. I still think he's the number 1. I think we have a 1A and a 1B. They almost split the time last year. And I think Benner plays better when he's pushed. And I think having a season where he's going to be pushed is going to really work well for him.
Well, I look at it like this: the Blues. But the thing is that's the thing. You're not gonna you don't have to view them as a starter, a backup, because the Blues generally know how to balance their goalies out. They're not the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets play Connor Hellebuck for 67 games out of the year. They don't do that in St. Louis. They balance the goalies out perfectly. So viewing it as a backup starter situation, you don't have to do that here in St. Louis. You can just have 2 good goalies, and that's what the Blues have, is 2 good goalies. But as for who is taking the reins right now, it is Hofer's net. I'm sorry, it is Hofer's net.
I think it was Hofer's net. I think going into training camp, it's Bennington's net unless he loses it. That's my feeling.
For me, I don't know. I can't believe someone has this much hesitation towards Holter. I can't believe it. It's crazy to me. I'm
telling you, because I see shit on the ice that concerns me that everyone else bypasses. If Bennington did the same shit, you guys would lose your fucking minds.
And Bennington did do the same stuff this year. And
that's right. Bennington made those same mistakes and you guys lost your shit. Hofer makes those mistakes and you're like, oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I have the same reaction. If the puck doesn't go in the net, I don't give a shit. If the puck doesn't go in the net, who cares? It's the
They're-
same way I feel about Bennington when he does it. If Bennington mishandles the puck, it happens. The Blues still have you harp on the puck handling of Hofer, but Hofer is still one of the best freaking puck handlers in the league, and it's not even close for goalies. You know how many goalies I watch on an average basis that just miss the puck, mishandle the puck, mispass the puck? You know how many times I see that in a game, and not just Blues hockey?
Yeah.
It's a crazy amount. And I get what you're saying. There's still things that he can work on. But as for what it is, every goalie makes bad puck handling decisions. But Hofer and Bennington, they excel at the puck handling stuff.
They do. I still see him making rookie mistakes 2 years in, almost 3 years in. I still see him making those same type of mistakes. I still see him overcommitting on the posts. I see him oversliding. I'm sorry. I still think that I know that Drew said he felt like the maturity was getting there. I just don't think it's there yet. I'm not in this place where, yes, the maturity is there. I'm sorry. I want to see another year from him. Right. I do. I want him to have that I want another year, and I'm not ready to write Pennington off, and I'm not ready to go, you know what? That's right. He had such a great fucking year that he's it. I'm just not there. You guys can all be there. This is one of those places where the eye test is failing me because I don't see that.
Hofer's had had better season year after year after year. So he's developing, he's maturing, he's playing better year after year. This isn't, oh, screw Benner. I still have love for Benner. You know something that Benner does that Hofer does not do, though. If we're talking about critiques and we're talking about the eye test, you know what Bennington does a lot that struggles in his game is he overcommits on shots. You know how aggressive Bennington can be sometimes when players are coming in, for an opportunity, and he slides out to the hash marks, challenging a shot, and then is out of position. Like that's something that Hofer doesn't do. That's something Hofer does. So there's weaknesses to goalies for every team, and I do think that your criticisms are valid, but I think a guy in Hofer that's had one good season, then another good season, and then an excellent season this year, I don't see how that natural progression shows that he's not maturing. I don't know how
this
that
is another one of those where Matla goes, Benner gets in his own head a lot. I don't think so. I think that those days are over. I think those days are gone. Everyone says he's a hothead, yet he didn't blow up one time this season.
Yeah, he doesn't. He didn't blow. I don't think he blew up at all last season either.
No, he did. He had a couple last season, but not like he had before.
He's way more. He's way more. Yeah, people always talk about Bennington being a hothead and being a little B and all that. Like Bennington has absolutely matured as a goalie. Like,
well, the closest thing he had to a blow up this year was when Hofer went and hid, or when he got pulled, and him and
Montgomery,
Montgomery
but he hasn't really got it with other teams and other players.
He took Ovechkin's. I would have taken Ovechkin's puck.
That was shenanigans, though. I found that funny. I think most people found that funny, unless you're just a Bennington absolute hater. Like I found it funny. Obviously, I'm a Blues fan, but it was all in good fun. I don't think he was actually like trying to be some type of douche. I don't. Like, because put it this way. If let's just say Jonathan Quick, who is known for his shenanigans, say, or is it Quick that I'm thinking of? I think it's Quick. No. Yeah. Who's the goalie that's known for shenanigans? That always
Bobrovsky.
Yeah, no. Bobrovsky does.
No, you're thinking of the one that just retired.
Yeah. Yeah, Fleury. Yeah, if Fleury did that, shit to Ovechkin, people would have lost their minds and they would have been extremely excited and laughed and had a joyous whole time. But because it was Bennington, everybody had a problem with it.
Yeah, I see. To me, it's no. Let's say the guy that ends up breaking Bonds' home run record, right? And a player and it goes into the bullpen, right, of an opposing player. That's a money ball. I'm holding on to that ball until someone's ready to talk to me. I remember an episode of Arliss. Do you remember that show on HBO called Arliss?
No, I don't think so. But yeah, Matt Lowe. I found it funny. I don't care if anybody else found it funny. I found it funny because I knew it wasn't some type of like I'm trying to be a douche move. Like people can talk about it all they want, but I found it funny. The announcers, I think even the announcers, when the game was on, they even were laughing. And this wasn't. I don't think it was the Blues announcers. I think it was either the Capitals announcers or the national announcers, and they even laughed about it when they talked about it. So I found it funny. I don't care if anybody else found it funny. I did.
Yeah, I thought it was to me that was like Fleury would have done it. Marc-Andre Fleury would have done it.
Fleury would have did it, and everybody would have laughed and had a joyous time. Oh, Fleury, look at that guy. That guy's funny. Yeah. But again, because it's Bennington, people had an issue with it.
Yeah. Well, Bud, we're at 2 hours, man. I'm talked out. All right. So we're going to end the show, guys. Thanks for joining us. We ended up only getting 3 likes, and we didn't have a lot of watches, but we did it impromptu, so I don't expect that. Aaron Nels, Jason Nichols, and Mom, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you. For anybody that did watch us, thank you so much. Love Sniggy STL, thank you. We appreciate you. I just, I'm an old school guy. I remember I remember the days of the professor Ron Karan, trade just to trade, and I know how that hurt the team over the decades, over the years. Even after he left, it still hurt the team. So I understand the stand pat mentality. And when we won the cup in 19, prior to the trade deadline, everybody wanted to trade, and we stood pat. And look what happened. The argument for standing pat is there, as much as the argument for trading everybody away is there too. And
I absolutely. I'm not in the camp of trade everybody away. I'm in the camp of don't trade Jordan Kyrou, don't trade Parayko. I'm in the camp of adding a piece or two. We didn't talk about it on the show, but I know Bo Byram has also been getting some news too because he has 1 year left on his deal. That's an option that the Blues can explore. I just think that the Blues need a piece or two, whether that be a notable piece on the back end or they need a guy to play with Jordan Kyrou. And that's because Pavel Buchnevich is going to only regress. I think that they need to put him into eventually a Parayko type of style where they have him mentor the younger guys coming in on the bottom 6 and hopefully have guys like Dvorsky hopefully develop. But again, I still don't know the ceiling. He's still young. Obviously, he could still become great.
But Buchnevich progressing this year. I could see Buchnevich coming back.
Oh, I think he'll have a better year for sure. But I think, again, the way that I thought about it was, I think you should get a center, and I think that you should have Bush, the center that you acquire, and Kyrou together, and then there you go, and then you have your top 6 already set. You have Holloway, Thomas, Snuggerud, Kyrou, Bush, and then whoever the center is that you bring in. There you go. That's a great top 6.
We got Delzato, but I don't think we traded anything. I think we gave away a pick, like a late pick. We didn't, and that's not. We didn't get rid of somebody to get better, right? We didn't trade guys away to bring guys in. We traded a pick, I think. Matt has to stay, build around him and Snuggie and the Offer Sheet boys, and I'm okay with that. I think Devo should stay. I'm a proponent of, we have drafted so good that the guys we have now, the guys we have in the farm system, I think we're 2 years away. I think next year we are a playoff team and we're a contender after that. That's where I think we're at.
I want to say this. I want to say this because I sent it to Guy. It was a thing of the 20th overall picks and everything. Robert Thomas was elite compared to everybody really else on that list.
Yeah.
The two guys that come close are actually Minnesota guys, which is Eriksson Ek and then Wallstedt. But both Wallstedt's still too small of a sample size to tell where he's going to be. Eriksson Ek is not at Robert Thomas's level. The way I view Dvorsky is, yes, he's young and he could develop into something great. But again, I'm going to make the comparison that if Dvorsky going to be a great player, he's going to be a Ryan O'Reilly-esque type of player where he's not going to put up the points that you want, but he can be a good defensive two-way center. That's going to be his ceiling. If Dvorsky's going to be great, it's going to be because he is a Ryan O'Reilly type-esque player.
I could see that. Okay, man. Well, I'm done, man. I'm talked out. We're at the 2-hour mark, so we're going to call it, and I'm going to ask you. What?
No, I just was saying, yeah, thanks for tuning in, Snuggie, and hopefully you gave us a follow and a sub and all that if you're on YouTube. I think you're on YouTube, so thanks for tuning in, man.
I think he does follow us on YouTube, to be honest. Well, guys, I got one question for you, Justin. How do we end the show?
Think we got to ask, where are the girls?
What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo. And I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
So, Justin, I need to know, are you ready for the question?
I'm ready for the question.
All my fans out there, are you ready for the question? Blues fan, are you ready for the question? Who's late for dinner?
Where are the boys? Where they at?
Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, for my co-host, Justin Eagle Eye Scott, saying aloha, mahalo, thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time on the BlueNote Fan Report. And you got to know that I'm bleeding blue with you.
And as always, let's go Blues.
See you next time.